Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Yeah, it's time for some more math. We're going to continue our review week with some fraction review. There's all kinds of stuff to do with fractions, and we couldn't possibly review everything there is to know, not even in 1 week or 2 weeks. That's why you got to pay attention every week of school and try to build that knowledge, a whole year's worth of knowledge. But we'll try our best to touch on some important topics. And here we go. What fraction does the number line show? If I were you, I would shade up to the dot. And realize that you've shaded 1, 2 boxes up to the dot. That gives you a numerator of 2. Then you can imagine how many boxes there are remaining. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This fraction is 2 out of 11. Let me just double check that. I just have this weird thing where, like, if it's not a nice round number, I assume I'm wrong. And 11 to me is something I want to double check. But it's not hard to double check. 1, 2. So our numerator is right. It should be 2. 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 2 over 11 is the correct answer. If you ever get a question like that where it gives you a number line and asks you about a fraction, you can handle it in almost the exact same way. What fraction of the shape is purple? That's a great question. In any question like this, whether it has a million different lines or one little line like that, simply count all the pieces. 1, 2. Skip to Malou. Then you ask yourself, how many of those pieces are shaded? Only 1 in this case. Let's make believe, just for 1 second, for the sake of argument, for the sake of your education, that there is a line like that. What would the new answer be? Well, there's 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'd be the denominator. And only 2 of them are shaded. 1, 2. So that would be the numerator. And hopefully you see that these two fractions are equal. Because 2/4 can reduce to 1/2. Reducing, kids. That's a big boy skill. Can you see how this can be reduced? 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this can reduce to 1 over 2. 1/2. See? Whoop, same thing. Let's move on. Right, 4 and 94 over 100 as a decimal number. Okay, so as a decimal number, you should know that whole numbers, they live on the left of the decimal. The left, the left, the left. Fractions live on the right of the decimal. There you go. That's it right there. How did we get the 4? Came from that 4. How did we get the 94? It came from a 94 that's over 100. Anything over 100 in decimal land is just itself. How about this over here? Right, 1.07 is a mixed number. Mixed numbers are fractions. So this 1 right here is to the left of a decimal. So it's a whole number. And this 0.07, well, 0.07 can be turned to a fraction just like that. It's kind of like we did the backwards of what this question asked us to do. We went backwards. Before, they gave us a mixed number and said, hey, write this as a decimal. We said, okay. And here we have a decimal, and then they asked us to write it as a mixed number instead. I guess the main thing to realize is the whole number on the left of the decimal is always that big number all by itself. And attached to it is the fraction, which could be a decimal over 100. It's tough, but the moment you get it, you've got it for life. Because once you understand what's going on, it only takes 3 seconds to figure it out. Which fractions are equivalent to 10 over 12? Well, you saw us reduce a little while ago with that purple shading circle thing. So let's reduce again. What can the top and bottom both be divided by? Think about it. 10 and 12, they're both even numbers. So they can both be divided by 2. 10 divided by 2, 12 divided by 2. That gives us a new fraction. 10 divided by 2 is 5. 12 divided by 2 is 6. They're equal, but they don't look the same, do they? They're different fractions, but they're equivalent. 10 twelfths equals 5 6, so we can shade in that guy. We can't reduce anymore. So none of these are really going to equal 10 twelfths. So we're done. How do you write 100% as a decimal? Well, 100% is the same thing as 1, or 1.00 if you prefer. There's your decimal right there. That's also the same thing as the fraction 1 over 1. Take a hard look at all three of these representations. 100%, 1.00, 1 over 1. They all equal the same thing. How do you write 30% as a fraction? Well, as a fraction, 100% equals 1 over 1, but 30% is quite different. Maybe thinking of it as a decimal first would help. 30%. Do you remember the decimal trick? It's simple. You take the percentage and you jump 2 spots. 1, 2. Now 30% equals 0.3. See, we jumped twice. 1, 2. And put the decimal point right there. But we need to turn this into a fraction. That's not so hard when we have 0.3 right there staring at us, because tenths, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, all they are is that number over 10. If it was 0.4 for some reason, it'd simply be 4 over 10. Once again, look at the different representations of the same thing. 30% is 0.3. 100% is 1.00. 30% is 3 over 10. 100% is 1 over 1. It could also be 10 over 10, as long as that numerator is the same as that denominator. See, 30% isn't everything, so that's why it's only 3 out of 10. But 100% is everything, and that's why it's 10 out of 10. Maybe that's a good way to look at it. Here's your pop guide, level 4. Interpreting fractions here on the left. Level 5, you've got adding fractions with uncommon denominators, dividing fractions with the whole number in there. A little more complicated for level 5. I would try both levels regardless of what level you are, but your focus should probably be on wherever you land. But knowing both could only help you. Alright guys, that's the end of that video. I'll see you next time.